And also lawyers. The 23-year-old activist who was arrested in Douala last week and taken over to Yaoundé has finally been released on bail. Junior was free today after being in detention for over a week. We come back to the theater of his arrest and subsequent release in this news edition. And today is commemorated as a day for the African woman. The day comes at a time over 14 women in Cameroon were killed in domestic violence meted on them by their husbands in just 6 months in the country. Viewers, those are our major stories. Details in just a moment. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We just told you on the headlines a while ago that civil society activists, political actors, and the Cameroonian people say they want the total release of Junior Gombe and not a partial release. Meeting in the city of Douala, the actress Lambas is released on bail, vowing to push for a drop in all the charges against the activist, and they insist also that his arrest, detention, and subsequent presentation before the military court was in total violation of the law. Let's now have more with, for me, Armstrong Sandra.
The release of Junior Gombe on bail is not satisfactory to human rights defenders and civil society actors in Cameroon. The platform of lawyers, human rights defenders, and civil society actors say his release should be unconditional with all charges dropped. We want a complete drop in all charges against him and nothing less. The law clearly defines competencies in legal pursuit, who should arrest who, when, how, where to, and why. All of these were not respected, so we want an unconditional release for him. The platform insists that his arrest, detention, and subsequent presentation before the military court was in total violation of the law and his rights.
I think we have ratified a lot of instruments to that effect. Only military personnel or offenses committed with arms. But this is Junior who never committed any offense with firearms. What was he doing at the military court? So this was in total violations of civil rights. He's not a military person. Consequently,
the platform has vowed to continue to push for his complete freedom and the drop of all charges against the 23-year-old TikToker. They call on the international community not to give up, but to maintain pressure for Junior Gombe. The declaration was made in Douala at the public presentation of the platform, comprising lawyers, civil society actors, and human rights defenders. Their objective is to play a strict watchdog role on issues of rights and freedoms in Cameroon. After the Junior Gombe case, they plan to take on the case of Steve Arkham, detained in Gabon.
And now we told you in the headlines also that Junior Gombe was finally released in Yaoundé. That was today on bail after he was defended at the military court by a council of 4 lawyers and even more. They consisted, among others, of Barrister Keremuna, Barrister Tamfu Richard, Barrister Kenye Fabrice of Fabienne, Barrister Cheju said, among others, like I earlier mentioned. And Junior Gombe, the mother, and the lawyer spoke to media men and women in Yaoundé. That was after his release. Let's now listen to Barrister Keremuna in this excerpt.
Took him to the gendarmerie office in Bonanjo. When he got there, they told him there was going to be an investigation. It was Wednesday around 7 o'clock. The next day, Thursday, he was now moved to Yaoundé. When he got to Yaoundé, he was now, at the time he was arrested, from the time he came to Yaoundé, I should say, and in the court. And I have to say that even in the military court, you know, all the personnel there, the lieutenant, the commissaire de gouvernement, everybody were very courteous and very, very nice. And that's reassuring because the kid is 23, and they could have made the conditions more rougher to intimidate and shake him psychologically. He's an intelligent guy, and I think that I'm very impressed about his behavior. So that's what I could sort of say.
Barrister Keremuna speaking, sir, immediately after Junior Gombe was released on bail in Yaoundé. Now in Douala, reporter Lucille Yenguesie visited the Bilonge neighborhood in the Douala 3 subdivision where the young activist was arrested from his beauty salon. At the beauty salon, activities have been slowed down somehow after the arrest of Junior Gombe. Let's now take you to Bilonge with Lucille Yenguesie.
It was on the 24th of July 2024 that 23-year-old Junior Gombe was arrested from this beauty salon located in the Bilonge neighborhood, Douala 3 subdivision. Ever since Junior Gombe was apprehended, activities at the beauty salon have slowed down. According to his colleagues, his arrest left them in dismay. We were shocked because we know Junior as someone who is respectful, someone who has a calm spirit, so we were worried. His colleague goes further to say Junior only encouraged them to express their frustrations if they needed change and urged them to register on the electoral list. The owner of the beauty salon where Junior served as a barber says his absence was greatly felt by clients and even colleagues who valued his work skills and emotional support. The young activist spent 6 days at the State Defense Secretariat said in Yaoundé before his release.
We will be talking more on the arrest and subsequent release on bail of Juniors, as will be in the second part of the news. Now, in other news, at least 14 women have been killed within a period of 7 months across Cameroon. The information published by an online news platform, Griot, has been greatly criticized by gender-based activists and human rights defenders. Women who are victims of violence have been urged to speak or move away from toxic environments. Meantime, authorities have been asked to reinforce existing laws. Immaculate Fogwe completes the story for us.
Cases of domestic violence in Cameroon have taken an upward swing in recent years, with no signs of abating anytime soon. According to an online news platform, Griot, at least 14 women have been killed this year, with the most recent cases registered on the 16th and 17th of June in the cities of Douala and Garoua, respectively.
Every day there are women who are being violated, either emotionally or physically. And the reason why many of those women don't speak out is because of how the society looks at it. They think that men are superhumans, that it's just in their nature. They make us to believe that it's in the nature of a man to be violent, which is actually not correct. And sometimes it's because of the community, of the culture. Somebody will tell you, your mother went through this, so it's normal for you to.
We raise children who see their parents fight and will nurture that attitude and will grow up to beat their wives. We need to stop. We need to speak up. We need to back out. To every woman in an abusive relationship, in an abusive marriage, speak up until someone hears. Back out before you find yourself in heaven. The time to speak up is now.
The government has been urged to enforce existing laws and protect the women from discrimination and violence.
And I think that in Cameroon, the perpetrators of violence against women are not actually being punished, or they just take it for granted. But if we live in a community where we have rules and regulations, where we have laws that actually say if you violate a woman, this is how you will be punished, and we actually implement it.
Every woman has the right to live her life safely and free of violence. A life without violence is essential to women's health.
Still on insecurity, we take you to the northwest region in Bamenda. 2 taxis were set ablaze at the hospital roundabout that was yesterday, sparking widespread anger and despair among the residents. This incident is the latest in troubling series, with a total of 4 taxis destroyed. That was since separatist groups mandated a change in the color of taxis from yellow to blue and white. Boo Stella now tells us more from Bamenda.
These two taxis were reduced to ashes on Tuesday evening in another act of violence targeting livelihoods in the public transportation sector. This morning, many took turns looking at the extent of the damage with their own struggles going through their minds.
Any youth not there now, if you stand now, both now, if you move money for a back, to buy motor, loan, make the rate story to you them when it is struggle so. The government bring a farmer.
Taxi drivers in the region are already grappling with immense challenges. Many are struggling to make ends meet, and this latest attack exacerbates their plight.
Taxi man no be another taxi the PD with the family. Okay, if we stop for 1-2 days, we no work. That means the family they'll go hunger.
Passengers too are living in constant fear. The escalating violence has made the use of public transport a risky endeavor.
When it's time for me to step out, I am afraid to enter a taxi because I don't know what can happen. And this is a period where we are preparing back to school and they are destroying taxis like this. How are we going to cope?
Between June and July 2024, 4 taxis have been burnt by the separatists and over 6 vandalized in their taxi color change quest, resulting in an economic shock.
The population has to rise up so that those who are involved in these atrocities know that they're not wanted. So I'm speaking to the youth, should not destroy their futures by engaging in such activity. We would like to see a place where the average income for someone in the Northwest is upwards of 80,000. Right now it's below the poverty rate is really below the national average.
As the population reel from this latest attack, calls for peace and unity are growing louder.
From Bamenda, we take you to Kumba, where at least 1 person has died in a road accident and several material damage recorded. And that accident was caused by a driver who was drunk and on high speed. Smart Jikan Gabriel tells us more.
A tense Tuesday night in Boya Road, a neighborhood in Kumba 1 subdivision.
Man don't jam people for uptown. He take any wrong with his motor. He don't run car ride for this side. He bike on and see so.
Commission motorcycle riders go furious after a man by name Enes knocked down one of their colleagues, Felix, but decided to continue driving. Sources at the scene of the accident say Ernest, the car driver, was drunk and still decided to drive. In anger, the commission motorcycle riders followed Ernest right up to his residence, where they began by destroying his car. Before setting it ablaze.
I not be close today because it's very dangerous now, because I don't even know how the fire come about. Yes.
A good Samaritan will quickly inform security forces who came and took away Ernest before the attention of the angry bike riders turned towards him. A return to the scene where the car was burnt, the destruction on the car was visible. The lifeless body of Felix was deposited at the mortuary in Kumba, while Ernest has been detained at the company Gendarmerie Brigade in Boya Road for further investigations.
So that does it for the first part. The news talking point comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Barrister Tamfu Richard. He is one of the lawyers who defended Union Gombe in court in Yaoundé. Thank you, Barrister, for accepting to be our guest on the news tonight. Now, I earlier indicated that you're one of the lawyers who defended Union Gombe in court in Yaoundé. Can you begin by telling us the charges levied exactly against the activist by the state?
I think the first thing that we lawyers we did was to denounce the illegal arrest of Junior Gombe, which we need to say it. He was arrested in Douala. I think that was on Wednesday and deported to Yaoundé. And we denounced that kind of arrest because it was illegal. There was no warrant of arrest. And while at the State Secretary of Defense, where he was being held and interrogated, we actually gave our legal assistance as to explain to him the charges for which he was being investigated upon, because the two charges were incitement of rebellion and propagation of false information following an exploitation of his TikTok page, where he was galvanizing youths to massively register into the electoral list, and he was expressing some criticisms vis-a-vis the government on the management of public affairs.
Barrister, the council was made up of 4 lawyers, and even more, you were one of them. Barrister Keremuna was the lead counsel. Barrister Fabien Kenye, Barrister Teju said, among others. Now, can you tell us precisely some of the concrete moves you guys made to secure his release?
Yes, the first thing as a lawyer was to make sure that our client was not being tortured, to make sure that the detention conditions were appropriate, and that during the recording of his statements that he should not be put under duress or pressure. And I think that was the assistance we gave to him, and we continued with that assistance when he was referred to the military state prosecutor, and where maybe we explained the facts, had an exchange with the military state prosecutor to know exactly what what the file is all about. And I think that after the proper study of the file, the military state prosecutor saw it wise that it is not necessary to send this young man in custody, that they should maybe prosecute him free, and that is why today we're talking that Junior is on bail, Junior is free, so the charges have not been discontinued.
Junior was released today. Many people are saying he is finally free or totally free, but the lawyers told us that he was freed on bail. Barrister, explain to us that legal jargon in plain terms, being free on bail.
Yes, Junior is on bail. That's the simple explanation. Bail means that you may be prosecuted in court while you are not in detention. So Junior will be leaving his house to go to court to answer to the charges for which he was accused of. So the Junior is bail, and the bail could be maybe by providing sureties, or maybe providing a caution, but here we are talking about sureties. So people or persons came to stand for him that, okay, we take the engagement that Junior is not going to go at large or to run from the justice system, and that Junior will be available anytime the justice system will need him. So Junior is on bail. That's a legal way to say it, and Junior will go back home and sleep in his house, and then follow up with the case whenever it is called up.
After being freed on bail, are there no security threats around him? In other words, is his security guaranteed?
Yes, the security of every Cameroonian is guaranteed by the President of the Republic. Our security and the security even of our properties is guaranteed. So Junior is secured, he is free. His rights or his non-conviction, his conviction certificate has not been tempered upon. So he's a free man. He has not been sentenced, and at this point in time he's still considered to be innocent until proven guilty. So the fact that he's being prosecuted before the court over those charges does not make him guilty. So he's a free man. His security, I think, should be guaranteed. There should not be anything to worry about.
Now, Barrister Tamfo Richard, from other legal sources, the circumstances surrounding his arrest are somehow preoccupying. That is, there was no arrest warrant. You mentioned it above. You are a lawyer. Tell us what the law says about that. That is arresting somebody without any warrant of arrest.
Arrest is provided by the Criminal Procedure Code, and to arrest a citizen, Article 30 of the Criminal Procedure Code clearly states the conditions to proceed for an arrest. If it's not a case of flagrant delito, I think you need to present, the person effecting the arrest need to present a warrant of arrest to the person. But in the case of Junior, he wasn't presented any warrant of arrest. And worst of it is that he was arrested by people in civilian attire, who said they were coming from the secret service, they were working at the secret services of the state. So this kind of arrest is not proper in a state of law, because it means that any person can just appear before you and tell you that I'm a secret service agent, I want to arrest you. I think you as a citizen, the first thing you should ask is that, one, I don't see you dressed in a uniform. I don't see any police dress or gendarme uniform on you, and is there any document for you to arrest me? So if that kind of person is not able to show those documents to you, then the arrest is illegal, and you need to resist such type of arrest because it's an abuse.
You also mentioned above, Barrister Zat from Douala, Julien Gombe was whisked off directly to Yaoundé. When we have courts in Douala, and he was later tried or been questioned in a military tribunal, why when he is just a civilian?
Yes, this is some of the things that we lawyers we decried, because in Douala we have all the police services, police, gendarmes, and even the courts. And it's incomprehensible that people will have to leave from Yaoundé to come and arrest someone who has maybe committed those offenses within the jurisdiction of Littoral, when we know that we have all these institutions that could probably carry the investigations. And what is also worrisome is that he's been tried before a military court. I think there have been platforms where we have decried the fact that civilians should not be tried before military courts, because Cameroon has signed international instruments that advocates that civilians should not be tried before military court. But there is this 2014 law on terrorism that gives the competence of the military tribunal to try civilians, which is against international instruments that have been ratified by Cameroon.
Barrister, we got information that the team of lawyers or the council defended him voluntarily. How did that happen immediately after the arrest? How did you get to him? Tell us, what was the panel? How was it constituted?
Yes, this was there are some cases that we refer to as public interest cases. And some lawyers who are engaged into the defense of human rights at times can offer their services pro bono, meaning that there is no payment that is being expected. So these are lawyers who stood up maybe in a pro bono capacity to be able to bring forward their legal expertise to the young government, because all of us saw that this was a clear case of gross violation of human rights, and knowing very well that justice is rendered in the name of the people of Cameroon, it is but normal that in such circumstances we can stand tall to say no, it is not possible, we will not accept this kind of illegality. So the lawyers I can mention, which I know were in the file, I saw Batoni Akeremuna, you had Barrister Kenye Fabienne, you had Cheju Emmanuel, Serge, and myself, and other lawyers, because there were so many other people too who probably worked, and that maybe it wasn't to my attention. I know everybody stood up tall for the defense of Julien Gombe.
Curious to you guys, Barrister. And now we know that Junior is young, he is courageous, he is daring, he is outspoken. He's just 23. Can his arrest deter other young people from decrying bad governance in Cameroon, just like the activist Julien Gombe did? Can it be a form of intimidation, Barrister?
Yeah, I think the government took a wise decision to liberate him, because if they had sent him, for example, for waiting trial, that's to jail, it would have sent a very strong message that our liberties are being muzzled, because we cannot be saying that we have freedom of expression, freedom of opinion, and we see persons who have taken up that courage to advocate or engage themselves into some civic activities, and they are being harassed, abused, or arrested and sent to jail. It will have deterred so many people to take up that huge task. I think releasing him today is it softens the path to freedom of expression. We now know that, okay, we can freely express ourselves without having fear or being intimidated. I think it's a wise decision to have liberated him, and I think it's going to encourage and galvanize so many youth, especially when we are coming across an electoral period, which is a time where we expect citizens to take up their civic engagements, maybe to register into the electoral list and maybe vote when the time comes.
Thank you, Barrister. Now, before we go, any last word of maybe caution in relation to the arrest and subsequent release on bail of Junior Gombe.
Yes, just to say that we should make Cameroon a better place for ourselves. Cameroon is a state of law, and at all times we should make sure to uphold the rule of law. We should not be acting as if Cameroon is a lawless state. And I think that we have all what it takes. We have the very best laws in this country. If someone commits an offense, let the state take the proper measure or procedure to bring the person to book. No one is above the law. So we are all slaves of the law, and I think the only guiding instrument is that all of us should be subjected to the respect of the rule of law.
Thank you, Barrister Tamfu Richard, for accepting to talk to us on Talking Points tonight, and courage to you guys. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us. Don't go away, our programs continue. Equinoxe 4 live from Yaoundé at 7 p.m. and the news in the French language at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television and see you again tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye for now.